Hello, here's the build video for the ticket. First part we're going to start with is the stack swapper. For this you're going to need our swap plate, 4 of the stack screws. The ones that we're using are the included ones, which are the M3 by 30. We'll need 4 standard nuts and then 5 lock nuts. So first off we start, I'm going to build this as a 20 by 20, so it's going on the innermost holes. If you wanted to do 25 by 25, you go in the middle ones, but that's an M2 screw. The frame does not include M2 hardware. And then if you want to do 30 by 30, you go in the outer holes, which is going to be M3 hardware again. So you take the nut and you just use that to secure the screw here. This one is not the lock nut. The lock nut comes in for later, but we'll add all 4 of these here. And this part here, with the stack swapper, this is what allows you to build up multiple stacks or transfer stacks between builds if you damage one in a race, or say your frame is broken and you have another spare frame that you want to just swap over really quickly. This part doesn't really take too long to make. The stack swapper is made of steel, so this way it helps with resonance and does not get affected as much. It dampens some of that noise there from your motors and helps your build fly a lot smoother while being on a separate plate. But we'll finish screwing these in, and then we'll go to the next step of that, which after this last screw is just going to be putting 4 of those lock nuts on the top of the stack screws, because that's what's going to hold your stack in place. And we wanted to go with 30mm stack screws for this, just so you could use all the room inside the cage and not have to try to figure out what length of screw you need. If it's too long, then you can always cut it down with some flush cutters or bolt cutters, I guess would be better. And so yeah, we're just gonna put these lock nuts on top for use later when we put when you put your electronics on there. Now you may have your stack swapper bend a little bit, but you can just bend it right back and it shouldn't affect anything. Now this last nut would go on the bottom here, but we're going to leave it off until we get to mounting it onto the frame, and we're just going to put this to the side here. The next part we're going to build is our cage. So we're going to start by getting this piece here. This is the cage locking plate with a press nut pre-installed on there, so you shouldn't have to do that. And you'll need 1 M3 by 12mm long screw. You're going to take this and go from the opposite side of the press nut, so you're going to screw into the press nut from here. And so the socket head is on the other side of the press nut. This is basically clamping the screw in here and allowing the press nut to go in. And you want to tighten that as much as you can, because this is what you're going to be screwing the lock nut to hold the cage on. If you want, you can add some Loctite in here, but I haven't used that and I don't think it's needed. But if you want to, you can. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take one of the side plates, and we're going to take our 2 M3 by 14mm standoffs and 2 of these M3 by 8mm screws, and we're going to take it and put these 2 on here, and these are just going to be loosely on there. We'll tighten it down later once we get the other half and the flip stick on. So those will go in the top 2 holes here. Then we take our flip stick or our turtle fin, whatever you want to call it, and we can just slide that over top of the standoffs. There isn't a direction, so you can put it on whichever way you want. We'll then take the other side plate and the other 2 M3 by 8 screws and put them in just like we did the other side. I like to put them in just loosely when I have this in, and then just go all the way for, oh wait, I almost forgot. We go this piece, so we have that loose, take this piece, and we can put it right in here. That's gonna be secure. You'll see it wobbles a little bit, but there's no need to worry about that. Once we tighten it down, and we bolt the cage to the frame, it's gonna be solid, and that also helps with a little bit of dampening, so you don't, so it makes it actually a little bit more durable. So we can go ahead, tighten these on there, and then you have this here. It's a little bit of wobble, but that's okay. It's designed for that. This is most of your cage, and then we'll take these camera mounts. So these are little TPU camera dampeners, and they just pop right in. Make sure that the little pocket is outwards, so that way your screws can reach your cameras. You don't need really long screws, since this is a 2.5 millimeter thick side plate. That goes in both sides, and just like with the stack swapper, we're gonna leave the lock nut that holds it closed to the side. Next, we're gonna take the main body of the frame. So first we'll take the mid plate here. We're gonna want 4 more of these M3 by 12 millimeter screws. And these are actually going to be used as pins. So we're gonna just drop them down. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Just like that in the middle here. We're then going to take our bottom plate and line up these screws with this here. And then once we have that there, we'll take one of our arms. I'm gonna do this one as a stretch deck, so it goes in that inner hole. And you can do that, slightly loosen or slightly tighten the screw. We'll go to our next arm. I'll also do this one as in the stretch decks configuration, which is that inner hole towards the center of the frame. And these arms are unidirectional. You can put them on any arm, upside down, sideways, well, not really sideways, but upside down, and either hole, and they will be in the same exact spot. We're gonna take these back ones, and we're actually gonna put these as true X, so they're gonna go in the outermost hole here, as well as this last 4th one here. It's going to go to the outermost hole too. Once you have those loosely in there, you can take it and tighten all 4 of these down. And since the middle ones are pins, there's no screw holding those in. It's just friction that keeps it in there and not all sliding around with the stack swapper. So these 4 are all tight in there. You have your 4 screws. You have your screws here, the bottom, and now you're ready to take the stack swapper. Put that back in the center here. It might be a little bit of friction putting it in there, but once you get it in, you're all set. And then you take the nut that we left out, and this is where you might need to put it on its side so you can put it on your resting your finger and place it in. Then you'll want to put a couple of turns on there, then take a nut driver and screw it down. Next, we want to take the cage, and you're going to take the back end of the cage where you have the hinge. You're going to drop it down into here, and with the nut off, so you don't want the nut on there, you're going to rotate it so that this screw goes into the hole up front here, and the 2 tabs go into those slots as well. And it's going to look pretty much just like that. You're going to have your screw poking through a little bit. And with that, you take your nut, you put the nut on, if I can put the nut on, and tighten it down. And now you'll see that there's a slight gap there, but you can tighten this all the way so that gap is gone. That puts a little bit of tension in and compression into that plate, which helps it be a little stiffer. And you notice that cage doesn't move around, and this frame is done in 10 minutes.